Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. Please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go? Yes, Dr. Robert Malone actually showed up. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was very nervous. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I was on with Majid Nawaz just yesterday, the best guest in the past year on Joe Rogan Experience. And then today I have the other best guest that has been on Joe Rogan in the past year. Are you kidding me? Am I living in a dream? All right. This episode's awesome. It's so awesome, in fact, that our friends on the biggest platform for video streaming won't let me do it. They just won't. It's a fact. This episode is way too hot to handle. So I have cut a 5-10 minute clip of this episode that I know is okay, so that you guys can get a feel for it. And I wanted you to know that it was happening because I know many of you are just subscribers over here. But if you want to watch the entire hour, and it is fascinating, not to mention my 20-minute segment with Judge Andrew Napolitano, please head over to Rumble, Odyssey, Rockfin, Locals, everywhere else. Basically everywhere else I can talk about this, but not here. So that's where you got to go if you want to see it. I apologize for the inconvenience, but this is the game. This is what we got to do to stay alive, to still be able to get the word out to the masses. So I hope that you guys will do so. All the links will be down below in the description. But while you're here, go ahead and get me a like, a subscribe. I still do the majority of my episodes here because they're not all so wild. Yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoy this. I certainly did. I found it incredibly fascinating, and I think you will agree. Enjoy.
Am I red pilled or am I black pilled? For those that know that metaphor, it's kind of on the, I
depends on the day, right?
Yeah. Well, as Yanya Kellick said to me months ago, it used to be that I could clearly tell the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality, and increasingly that is more and more and more difficult. And this is
you and me both, brother.
One of the senior reporters for Epoch Times. It's been a long, to quote the Grateful Dead, it has indeed been a long, strange trip over the last 3 years that we have all been journeyed on.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I do want to ask you a little bit about, your assessment that the CIA agent was rolled in this situation, given that Fauci, NIH, they were funding through EcoHealth the research that was occurring in the Wuhan lab. Why are we so certain that this is a CCP op and not a joint one between the CIA and the CCP working together? I know that seems like a crazy question, but I think
no, it's not at all.
It's fair to ask.
It's more than fair. To this end, the group that I have long been associated with, not as a client so much, from time to time as a client, but more as me being an associate with deep connections in senior leadership at Defense Threat Reduction Agency, which is different. People get confused. DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, is the CIA's arm for advanced development of in proof of concept for a variety of technologies. They actually did create the internet. They did create the SR-71 and so many other things. This is basically the funding arm of CIA's spook shop. DARPA has a programmatic initiative that they don't take projects that seem fairly certain to succeed. They take things that only have about a 20% probability of success. That's just where they sit in the ecosystem. Sure. Of funding. Is they're way out on the edge trying to pilot breakthrough new technologies. Defense Threat Reduction Agency is a branch originally of the U.S. Army, but now, as the phrase is, it's all purple, right? Meaning that all the forces are integrated. DITRA was born of, you may recall, if you may be old enough, but I made a reference to Grateful Dead. So if you're of that age that references to Grateful Dead work for you, you may recall that there was a time when the Soviet Union collapsed.
Oh, sure. I was about 7, but I remember it vaguely.
And there was this problem of loose nukes and nuclear scientists. And there was the people that kind of gave birth to DITRA were the ones that originally went into the former Soviet Union and did this very strategic kind of surgical intervention where they bought up these loose nukes. It was a huge success in terms of DoD policy and strategy and tactics. And that grew into a fairly large organization, Defense Threat Reduction Agency, that has both a nuclear countermeasure component and a chem-bio countermeasure component. Within the chem-bio, both of those groups are kind of split into more operational countermeasures, and threat mitigation is the term that they use, which is this kind of we give money out to keep scientists on the other side from really going and working for the bad guys. And so I have always been aligned with the chem-bio countermeasures group. So these are the people building drugs and vaccines and things against biothreats and nerve gases and that kind of stuff. And but I contacted last fall as the lab leak was kind of coming up and gaining legitimacy. I contacted a close colleague that I had been asked through this to kind of mentor a little bit, and had done so. An old friend had asked that I take him under my wing and try to help him. And so I asked him if he had any touch points relating to the Wuhan Institute of Virology and whether or not his branch of DITRA did. And so he asked the question around. He didn't know the answer. He asked around, and what he found out, what came back to him was basically, hey, fool, didn't you know that? So the story turns out that Defense Threat Reduction Agency Threat Mitigation Branch has been funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology for a long time now and continues to do so in the present. Okay, so
even in the present, my goodness.
In the present, yeah.
Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. Please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go?